Hi, my friend. It's the last day of Grandma's Kitchen. Woohoo! So exciting. Okay, so today also I'm starting out with the Barnstar t-shirt, the new one that I just showed you yesterday on the online because I only had the one notebook so far. Look at this. Look how cute it is. And this is like the aqua color. I wear a large, so that's so you can see how. Look at that. Isn't that cute? I love it. Love it, love it. You'll see later on in this one segment I'm going to tell you about I'm wearing something different because that's what I was going to wear and I filmed it the other day. So anyway, that's the way it rock and rolls around here right now. And then I have to talk about my altered schedule. And that's the part where I'm wearing a different shirt. So we are going to start out with our last block, which is, for me, I wanted to talk about famous cookies. You know, baking. Grandmas and baking is kind of classic, although, you know, my grandmas really didn't. I never saw either grandma bake. Although my dad's mom, she did bake when he was younger because he remembers these sugar cookies, but she never baked when I was a kid. And she bought everything from the farmer's market where she worked in these wonderful white boxes, which would have a variety of things because that's the way she was. She didn't just get a whole box of all the same stuff. It was always a variety of things, and it was just so scrumptious and fun to peek in that white box. So this is one of the smaller blocks at 10 and a half. So there is the breakout, super easy to wrap it up. And I did a side-by-side with just a basic sashing. And this is 30 blocks, so it's 58 by 70 with no border for just 30 blocks. And so that's kind of cool because you could, you know, use up a lot of scraps, I think, for this quilt and like keep the same background color maybe where the white is, and then vary each block or do like all different scraps of maybe 2 colors. All right, so speaking of colors, for the last block, here's the diagram. So we're on number 25. Let's take a look first at what colors I'm going to might use. Picking fabric for the very last block. Yay, it's a smaller block, so there's actually 2 strips on top and 1 strip on the bottom. I'm thinking that I need to use this blossom white for the white part of the block. You know, like, well, there's the checkerboard, but I think I need that in that block based on the fabrics that are down here. I don't want peach, and that one's really busy, so I don't want to kind of repeat that. Well, this is that ballerina pink, rather. So what I'm thinking is I'll use that white, and then I'll have 2 other colors I'm going to pull in here, and we're going to take a look at what those could be. And then I've already, I think, decided on the 3 fabrics to do the 2 rows on the top, which are skinny. They're like 1 inch finished and then like a 1.5 inch finish, which is the same as that checkerboard. Okay, here we go. So looking at purple for the darker part of this block and the other, you know, fabrics for the strips on top and the bottom. Okay, so I first thought this will be, remember I said I just showed you that the white that I'm using for everything, I think this is what I'll use for the white part because it really will pop, and I didn't use that at all on that lower row. For the darker, I wanted to have some darker purple because I'm going to have purple spacers on the top and the bottom of this. So I'm going to pick one of the darker ones, and the mushrooms are just so darn cute. I use that in one other place, and I think that will be just these 4 squares. Okay, now the strips, you could use like 1 fabric here, so it'd be fabric number 2. Then you could use fabric number 3. You could use the 3rd fabric. I don't have that written out that way. But you could use one over there, and then of course your background is like the 4th one, or however you want to think about it. So let me show you here what I'm thinking. My first thought was maybe I go ahead and pull a yellow in again. But my thing is the yellows all look fairly light, and this is a lot of yellow, and I think what'll happen is it just will wash out. It's just not going to be very attractive. You know, it's wimpy. It's too wimpy. So I thought, well, what about the peach? Because even though there is that ballerina pink next to it and the spool block above it has this sort of peachy shade, it's not with the other colors in it so predominant. So I'm thinking that I've got the squares and that, whoops, there. So there's 5 squares. I'm sorry, I missed the middle one. So there's 5 of the purple squares. That this would be what to do. So what I'm going to do is cut all this up, and just see how it looks. And for some reason, if this looks too wimpy, then we will bag that. Now for the sashings, because the block above, the background of it is that super, you know, it's one of the busier light prints. Did I use it all? Okay, it's this one. Because it's this above, I've decided, you know, like this is what it's going to go against. So I decided to use the pins because I think that will just, and it's only going to be 1 inch finished. So I'm super happy about that. And then underneath it, keep something with a light background. And then I think I'll go ahead and cut this one, which is 1.5 finished. We cut it 2, and then it's 1.5 finished. And that will be under this block. So it'll be like this. So there's the mock-up. So you can kind of see the flow. I will cut all this up and we'll see what we think before I sew it. All cut out, nothing sewn yet, and I love it. This is going to work so well. The peaches, this peach I don't think will compete at all with this pink. Here, I got a piece of it there. That's the pink. Ignore that teal there. That's the pink that's next to the block next to it. So it's so much lighter. So that's not going to be a problem. And then here are the ones that I cut for the spacers. I did go a little bit different on this one. Instead of going like across where it's sort of all the same color, instead I went the other direction where I got a variation of color. So I think that's pretty fun. Have a little fun right at the very end. All right, I'm going to go sew it up. This turned out so good. Look at it. Yeah, that purple and that peachy color, they're just perfect together. And that pops so well. Now I'm going to take these pictures before I put those 2 sashings on, and then I'll show you with the sashings. The bottom row. Ta-da! Ta-da! Look at that. Yeah, see, that looks so good. And I'll show you. Where is it? Oh, wrong end. Here you go. See? Yeah, this darker peach really just, it stands out against there without a problem. So, okay. Next week, let me just sit down. Next week, I will have this on the bottom, and I will show you the one that we did in, what was it, 2016 or whatever it was. I will show you that one as well on next Wednesday. Now let's do a little quilt parade, and then we'll talk about my altered schedule. Anne starts out with a memory that the bags were always leather. And probably there was a period of time when I think bags probably wasn't really the kind of materials we have now. So they were probably mostly leather and big. You're going to see a theme here. Big bags. And so let's go on to see Barb's, and she wanted her block to have that kind of Vera Bradley look to it with the floral. I think you did it. I think it looks good. And she just needs to add a pocket on there for the money. I'll need a little cash in our bag, right? Becky's grandma gave her an old silver purse that she had, and she played with that. She loved it. She passed it along to her daughter, and she hopes her daughter will pass it along as well. It's kind of like a cool family heirloom. Carolyn said that her grandma changed bags with the season. Hey, that's awesome. I like to do that too. Daphne said that her grandma had a large purse. There you go. The first of the large purses. I love her orange in her block. This is so pretty. Debbie's grandma changed her big black bag. She used her big black bag, winter and summer. Same bag, black bag. And I think so many of them were black. And inside was hankies, a change purse, and gum. Helen wanted to have a kind of a tapestry, carpet bag tapestry look to her block. I think you absolutely hit it. Look at the swirl in the basket, the navy. That is so cool. Well done. Janet remembers her mom's brown purse and that you didn't go in it unless you were told that you could. And look at her block. It's all scrappy. That is so cool. If you were wondering about doing a scrappy block, there you go. Janice's snazzy block. So that is such a cool fabric. Love it. Jill did a beautiful, warm, and cozy block. Oh, so pretty. Jolene's is pretty in blue. So many gorgeous blocks. Basket blocks are a classic. Love the plaid that you're using. Karen said that her mom always had good leather purses. Her mom didn't really enjoy having the new fibers. So she had to have a leather bag. Kathy's grandmas carried those large bags, and as did her mom, and hankies were prevalent. There had to be hankies in there. And I think I remember that, but I remember my grandfather's having hankies too. Like, ooh, let's not talk about that. Linda remembers her grandma's bag from sitting next to it in church, in the church pews. There was probably stuff in there to keep you quiet too. Mary said that her grandma had a large black purse. There you go. Another vote for the large black purse. And this is a different Mary, and her grandma had a practical black bag. And I'm wondering whether there were actually that many color bags back in the day. Whether, it probably is predominantly black. And look at her block too. She has scrappy. Looks so good. Mildred said that handbags were her mom's thing, and her mom had a different color handbag for every outfit. Your mom and I would get along. That is awesome. Beautiful block. Patricia's grandma's purses were big, and they had everything, and they used to tell her that there was everything but the kitchen sink in there. And look at her pretty blue on this block. Susan has a gorgeous yellow background. Look how that is. Oh, so pretty. And she said one grandma liked mint gum and the other liked mint candy. My friend Suzanne's block with her chicken fabric. This is like my favorite chicken fabric. I don't know why, but I just love it. And she said her grandma often had subway tokens, so you had to root through the subway tokens to find the church in there to find the change in there for the ice cream truck. Good memories. Thank you, everybody. As always, I appreciate so much all of you sharing your blocks, and be sure to go out and check out my friend Kendall's YouTube channel where he shares videos and things that he does with my sew-alongs and his own. All right, so I'll segue into talking about my altered schedule. I did film that the other day, and I had different clothing on, so let's go. I need to talk about having an altered schedule for the next period of time. Probably through till the very beginning of September, and I'm not sure how much I have to alter, but I know how much I have to alter for the next about 5 weeks. And do you remember when some of you were here when I broke my wrist? And I also had basal cell carcinoma on my nose, and so I had my face sliced up. These are 2 pictures of those. Many of you actually joined me during the pandemic when I broke both my wrists, and then you were here when I went through getting my face sliced up. Well, this is a different reason for altering. In those 2 instances, it was very obvious that I had to talk about everything, because if I was going to film, you were going to see broken wrists or a black and blue face with, lots of scars. So I had no choice. We had to discuss it. And I have a opportunity to help my mom right now. My mom's husband passed away about a month and a half ago. And my mom and Frank lived in Montana. And so mom's made the decision that she would come east and come live closer to my brother, who is in North Carolina. And so in order to do that, there's a lot of things. Let me know if you have gone through helping a parent when there's been a death and they have to not only reorg things and fix, come up, their life changes, but then they also plan a move. So it is quite a thing. My mom's 85 and she's, it's her choice to come. We offered and she decided, yes, that she would like to do that. And so there's just a lot that has to go on. We've already been dealing with this for a month and a half. And now it's to the point where I am going to have to alter my video schedule and my sewing schedule. My sewing schedule has really been altered anyways. I've tried to kind of do the things, but it's to the point where I can't. I can't. What I want to do is a couple things. I thought I'd just outline here so you understand what's going on. And hopefully you can relate if you've yet had to do anything like this with family where you've had to alter your plans. I'm sure that you'll get to experience it someday. we all seem to have. This is our this is our season of life, as one YouTuber I watch says. So what does that mean? First of all, this month of June that we're watching this in, I'll have tomorrow's video on Thursday. Next week, I will have a Tuesday and Wednesday video. I will not have a Thursday video next week. And I will, I think, put out a little calendar of sorts that you can download today from the website article where you did Grandma's Kitchen. So what does that mean for July? For July, I'm going to try to film some short Wednesday videos. So that might be just 10 minutes of video just to have on Wednesdays. Mom is going to stay with me for a while. Her name is Bonnie. And so she's going to stay with us here for a while. So that means some, stuff. And then we'll all go to North Carolina where she'll go and move into her new place. So for July, I will put out short Wednesday videos. I may, for the Christmas in July, they put out the video, Fat Quarter Shop puts out the video on Tuesday and they're, you can download it on Tuesday. I will have on Wednesday just showing it. And if for some reason I have the fabric, I can show the fabric. I doubt I will be doing any cutting or making of anything. Then August, I really don't know. This is a slower month usually. A lot of you travel, you're not around. But and still, just take a step back. I don't know how many of you have never lived near your parents since you got out of high school. That's me. And I've not lived by my mother since I got out of high school. I've never had that opportunity to see her all the time. And so I want to enjoy while she's here because I've just never had that. My dad does live near me. My parents were both, remarried. But my mom, I've never had that since I was 17. I've never lived near my mom. So that will be really joyful. And I want to take that, I want to absorb that and have that experience. Okay, so that is the altered schedule portion of this video. So the basics of it are, the videos will be shorter, more like, what I did when I broke my wrist or when my face was all, sliced up. I just have to have shorter ones. I don't have enough time between now and when I leave and filming to do things, and so they'll be shorter. Then in July and August, there will be just on Wednesday so that I can get my mom moved, and also while she's here, I can enjoy the time with her that I've never really had. So that'll be kind of the two main things. There is Christmas in July, and then in August, and so I'll be doing that for the July. At the minimum, I will just share what the block is, but I've got my fabric and stuff like that. And then in August, there is the Jolly Bar Sampler, which just kicks off and it goes through the end of the year. And then there's also an autumn mystery from the Fat Quarter Shop. And I have fabric for that. And I will talk about that on some of the videos that are for July. I'm not sure I'll get it in next week's videos if I'll have enough time. But I will mention it for those. And we'll see. I'll be back, so I'll see what hopefully I can do that. Okay, my friend. You are going to do, if your family has famous cookies, You can talk about them, share about them when you share your block this week, the last block, or any other kind of famous dessert that your family has. And here is my block. Here it is. Ta-da! So I can't wait. So I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone. I will see you online.